Can you hear me, Jeremy? Thanks, guys. Give everyone a minute to join in here. Hey, guys, thanks for joining. What I want to do, yeah, I'm feeling it, man. I don't know. I went to the office Monday, and man, I freaking feel it. I swear. I've been working from home a lot, and I walked to the office, and then bam, I just freaking walked into this stuff here. But get started tonight. I just want to go over, remind everybody of our sponsors. Um, Justin Thornton Painting, he's one of the original sponsors of us, and he's contributed probably not that it's competition, but he's contributed a lot of his time, a lot of his money, a lot of his advice, his expertise on things. Um, a lot of discussions with him, with Justin Thornton behind the scenes, and there'll be more of that, and you guys will hear about that later on tonight anyway. So, want to recognize Justin Thornton Painting. If you haven't gone to their page and liked their page and thanked them for their support this year, I would appreciate it if you did, because they do a lot for us, and a lot of things you guys just don't see, but they do a lot. Um, GNR Bay, Gerald, Judy, and Rhonda, they do a lot, not just for us, for other tournament series, and they're really good, fun people to be around. They have a good time, and they're very well connected and very supportive of the anglers, and they do a lot for us. So again, make sure you like their page if you haven't already. They're really fun to be around. I really enjoy them. Savannah Marine, they got on with us this year with the Border Wars, and a lot of you guys taking your boats up there, your Mercuries to get worked on. Joel's reputation on being a Mercury guy, I heard about years ago, and I've always heard how great. I haven't taken mine up there, but it will be going up there. Um, but I've heard how top notch he is when it comes to work on Mercuries and stuff. So make sure you check out Savannah Marine. We'll talk more about them. They got an event for us this weekend. We'll talk more about them coming up. Hooker's Terminal Tackle. Um, James Arwood does a lot for people all over the country. Um, whether you've used his hooks, tried his hooks, or what, he doesn't get the mix of which is the best, which is the worst. He doesn't play any of that stuff. He's just a down to earth, regular guy doing what he loves, trying to get something low cost but good for everybody. Um, we still use his hooks too. I use other hooks, but we use his hooks too. And a lot of guys are very appreciative of winning his hooks during our tournaments. And we're not going to have a lot of product sponsors next year, but he's probably going to one we're always going to try to hold on to. So um, James Arwood does a lot. Hooker's Terminal Tackle, again, if you can go to their page, thank them for their support. They do a lot. They really do. And we were able to help out a lot of the young anglers this year because of him. Um, let's recognize them for that. Original Ron Sox, and um, I did say that, didn't I, Dwayne? Um, and for the Rod Sox, they got a hold of us. I ordered some. It's kind of funny how that went. Is Eddie Henny was trying to get me more organized with my gear, and so I went and ordered some Rod Socks, and she noticed I had All American Catfish on the company name, and so she reached out to me, and we got to talking, and she sent us a bunch of Rod Socks for you guys to check out. I ordered the wrong ones, and she corrected that for me, so that was great. So the customer service is awesome, very approachable people, very good, solid product. Some of you guys were looking at them this past weekend. They gave us 5 to give out this weekend at the last event, and they're different types, so they weren't all just for catfishing poles. And so definitely when you if you go to order them, make sure you contact them and make sure you get the right ones. So I ordered the casting uh, rod socks, and it was the spinning one that was the bigger opening that goes over the bottom eyelet on the rod. So just make sure you check that out. But they're really good. And Alex Nagy, I gave him one this weekend, and he was pretty impressed with the construction and how durable it was. So I'm sure he'll be contacting him. Macy's Fishing's fine. The Stovers, we all know how great they are. Can't beat their prices. Uh, they do a lot. I mean, they are working people, very hard working people, because they not only do they have the fishing gear and terminal tackle and all that, they got all that dog food and all the detergent and the candles, the dishwashing soaps and the pods and all of that stuff, the agriculture parts. They have all kinds of things that they have access to, and it's things people use. If they're not using it, they don't sit on that inventory. They try not to. And because they get everything in bulk, they try to pass on those good prices to you guys. You guys are definitely supporting them. For our Christmas drawing, when we get the rod and reel, we will be getting it from them um, to give away. And for that reel, it'll either be a pen or an abu, depending on what the person wants. And I believe the rod is going to be a Big Cat Fever rod. And then someone can let us know which one they want, medium, heavy, or heavy, but and what color. But we'll get that worked out. So more to come on that. We have Visit Kansas City on here because Kansas City is doing a lot. We've had several, discussions with them. We've had meetings with them. I was in North Carolina at the sporting convention with them, with their leadership team, and they're making our events a priority this year. Their director there uh, wants to do more on developing the riverfront along the Kansas River, and we play a big part in that because of our events. And they watch our events. They look at our live feeds. They watch the national anthem. They love that. Um, and so we have asked them to help us out with the events this year, and they will be going with us to Louisville to the Catfish Conference. They will be in our booth. Visit Kansas City will have a representative there. And one thing I asked them to do is bring something to incentivize people coming to Kansas City. So what does that mean? There's a lot of sporting events here, a lot of activities, and we want them to bring something that people could raffle off, whatever. If they can, they can. If they can't, we understand. But give people a reason to come all the way out here, fish our events, and then do something else in Kansas City. That's what we asked. So they're working with us on that. They are planning on helping us with the Special Olympics event and a couple other things. They're going to help us. They've volunteered to help us get some sponsors, or at least do the introduction part with the businesses in the Kansas City, Kansas area. So we're looking forward to working with Kansas City, Kansas. Chiefs foosball, Austin. Um, I put the Catfish Conference on here just for a reference for you guys. Steve Douglas, the booth that we're going to have is given to us by Steve Douglas. He called and asked if I'd do it, and it was a no-brainer. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll come down there. So Monster Rod Holders, he uh, he gave us a lot of products for the Border Wars. He wanted to do more throughout the year, but they were, their orders have skyrocketed, and so obviously paying customers goes first, and we perfectly that we understand that. We're fine with that. Um, but he made up and said, "Hey, here's some for the Border Wars, and by the way, come on out and have a booth." And you guys seen that on the map. We have that corner booth at the Catfish Conference right across from the boats. That's great. That's a great spot because there's a lot of standing traffic there that come by and look at the boats and talk. And being on the corner, that means we have two sides of the table there. We'll have our mugs for sale. We'll have all kinds of things. So, hats off to Steve Douglas taking care of us on that. For such a young tournament trail, he was with us the first year. So he liked what he was seeing. Miracle Marine. Um, I think they have some mean looking boats, man. I mean, I've liked their boats. Like Dave Swearengen's got a cat, monster cat, and I like them. You know, Cody Thompson. Um, and I tell you what, they M2, is that what they're called, Dave? Is that how you reference them, M2? I didn't know that. But I mean, they're mean looking boats. They're cool. They're fast. Um, I know everyone's got their opinions on them. You know, I'm not knocking any other boat out there. There's a couple other boats I really like too. I'm just liking these ones. And so when Brent Riddle contacted us and said, "Hey, you know, we're looking at you as being a sponsor," and um, we are on, you know, we thought about it and we talked it over and we went with it. They're contributing $2,500 to the Border Wars next year. They're We're going to confirm what their other payouts are. I believe it's $500 if you place first in one of their boats. And they want to, you know, they talked about helping us out in a couple other ways too. But initially, it's at $2,500 for the Border Wars with Justin Thornton paint, $2,500 for the Border Wars, and what Macy Fishing finds that is already added. We're already at 6,000, and so Miracle Marine for never support been on our sponsor list before, and then talking to us this year, and then going all in next year. They like what they're seeing. They want to make sure their name is associated with something good, so we're proud to have them. So look forward to that. We will go to their site and we will get some make a promotional video at their location, and we've got some plans on how we're going to do the Border Wars trophy. Um, as long as there's 50 boats more. Yeah, and like I said, you know, on that one there, we're going to talk to him more, Dave, on get that clarification. But like I said, initially it's the $2,500 for the Border Wars, and so we'll get the rest cleared up, and we'll get it all documented. It's not a problem. But what I was saying, oh, the Miracle Marine, we have an idea how we're going to do the trophies next year for the Border Wars, and it, a little teaser here. It'll involve a picture of their boat. Um, the trophy shop showed us what they do for car shows, and it's pretty cool. And so we're going to get a trophy made. We'll have the Border Wars a replica, or I guess one of them. It's not necessarily a replica. We'll have a trophy for the Border Wars with us at the Catfish conference and of the Tournament of Champions. So you guys will get an early look at what that trophy is going to look like. All right, and Catfish Now, trying to get the word out on them. They're helping get the word out on us, and so that's a good little partnership there, and some good stories there. So check that out. So all right, let's get started here. Let's see here, guys. Let's talk about where we're at next year. It is nice having them on board. All right, so I'm going to pull up my notes here, guys. So I'm not trying to keep an eye on the chat too, but I'm going to pull up my notes. Border Wars in 2019 is going to be Lexington. I'm sorry, Lexington. All right. So there's some changes for next year. And we're going to update our rules, and we'll just kind of go through some bigger ones right now. We're still working on them. And so one thing I ask is we're going to go through some things, and I'm not trying to provoke a big long debate or get anyone upset or anything. And if you have ideas, I ask that you contact me separately. Don't throw out wild ideas out in the chat right now. We don't want to derail the conversation. I don't want to be on a lot tonight because my voice is quitting on me. So if you have an idea of something, get with me offline and let's talk through it and see what works. I don't want any brand new ideas thrown out in chat right now because they can take a life of their own. So just bear with me on that for a little bit. All right. So next year, um, this year our entry fee was $140. Next year, the entry fee is going to be $160 with a $40 placeholder. All right, that $40 placeholder is non-refundable. Non-refundable at all, just no matter what. If you throw the placeholder out there, um, we may consider something if a meteor hits your house or something like that. We may consider something like that. But if someone says, "Hey, just the truck's not working, can't make it, the boat's broke down," it's non-refundable. All right, and the reason that is because we pay fees both times. Um, if we get it and we transfer it to an account, we pay a fee. If I have to go and then refund it back to you, I pay another fee. And so the fees really start racking up when this starts going on. So we're not going to have a late fee or anything like that for entries, but that $40 placeholder is 25% of what the actual fee is, the entry fee is, and we're going to make it non-refundable. We're going to really emphasize that. All right. We're also going to change from our 2 anglers per boat with exceptions to 3 anglers per boat. That'll help with the additional adjustment to the cost for the entry fee. It'll get more people fishing in the boat, and hopefully it'll widen the audience of people we have fishing. There's some guys that just have bad backs, bad legs, bad shoulders who would like to fish. They just can't. They're recovering, they're healing up, they got planned surgeries, things like that. And so having 3 anglers per boat helps ease the cost of it being 160, and it gets a lot more people out on the water enjoying the time together. All right. Um, so with the 3 anglers per boat, this will still allow families, and the anglers have to be the anglers. What counts as an angler is 16 and older. If you have kids that are 15 and younger that aren't required to have a fishing license yet, and you have the boat capacity, if your boat's allowed to have 10 people in it, you're allowed to have them, your kids, your family with you. But it's still, we're going to have the 6 rod limitations there in use at any given time. And we'll go over this more when we do publish the rules. We'll publish a draft for all of you to see and review, and then somebody may while we're publishing the draft, if somebody may see something from a different lens that we didn't quite see, and uh, and so we may have to make that adjustment. All right, safety's the key here. Safety is very important. It's the primary focus, and then having fun right after that and being competitive. Okay, so keep all that in mind. We're also looking at not doing live well checks up until there's an issue. What's the older age? Just asking because my partner is getting close. There's no older age. 3 people. 3 people per boat. We're not going to put a limit on older. I think that's what you're asking, Dave. It's like I think we had 60 or something like that last time. There is no older. 3 people. It's golden, and because your partner is getting close to it, Greg, he looks pretty healthy. Hey, Tony. Um, so we're talking about not doing live well checks unless there's an issue. So what does that mean? So a couple of guys and I were talking earlier this year, and then one late this past year. Live well checks are one of those things that you do because the second you don't do it, somebody will start complaining, um, or start raising suspicion. And really, in the morning, we always tell people pull up in front, get your live wells checked, and sign in. And we're constantly chasing boats down because people say, "Oh, there's someone in line. I'm going to go hurry up and park." And they don't follow the instructions. So then, at the end of the day, what is it we're really gaining? At 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, who's really got a fish in their live well? So um, we're really going to rely on the polygraphs to deal with a lot of potentially bad behavior if there is any. We're going to have polygraphs at our events. We're going to have a polygraph challenge. So if an angler says, "Man, what they're doing is pretty suspicious," they can challenge that person. If they accuse a person of breaking a rule or cheating or something like that, they can challenge them. If that person, the accused team, fails a polygraph, we will cover the cost of that polygraph. If they don't fail the polygraph and they pass in flying colors and they weren't found guilty of anything, well, that team that did the challenge absorbs the cost. So we're going to rely on polygraphs this year. I don't see. We will be checking boats for live wells. And let me say this: this past weekend, this past event, um, there was a mix up because there was a team that didn't have a live well; they had a cage, right? And I don't want to bust anyone out here, but they're not anyone that fishes our events. I thought they fished another event, and so while we were all talking there, this is just an example of the right hand not knowing what the left hand was doing. I thought somebody else knew them and allowed that in their event, and so on and so forth. And neither one of us allows this in the event. We just thought the other person did allow it for whatever reason. So it's a little bit of confusion on our part. So it won't ever happen again. Bottom line is, you have to have a live well, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody. I just want to dime any or be accused of diming anyone out or anything and cause any problems. Bottom line is, if you don't have a live well, you're not fishing our events. If you need one, we have a couple of stock tanks in my trailer that we bring just for that reason, and we'll help somebody with that. But as far as checking live wells, until there's an issue, we're going to rely on the polygraphs to make sure people aren't cheating. Um, that will save you guys time. You can just pull in and park and sign in, and you're good. We're going to streamline our administrative side of the house. When you do register, you'll sign the waiver. You'll print your name and telephone number and sign it, and pretty much move on. If we need your address because you've won money or something, we can get it then. Uh, we're going to have the forms available so you can fill them out at home and bring them in, and we'll just assign you a number when you do bring them in. So, you can walk up, say, "Here's my stuff. It's already filled out," and you're done. We'll have all that. Glad you allowed them if they were crazy enough to fish in the boat and that weather. I felt bad for them. Gave them some bait. Oh, yeah, that's cool, Dave. Um, so again, we're really going to rely on the polygraphs. Hey, Lyle, cool, good to see you. Um, Points race. We're going to have a points race next year for our events, and we're going to be meeting with some people to discuss that and make sure there's the logic, have a couple of different perspectives, make sure we follow good logic. We want to make the points race very easy to calculate and very easy to achieve, and still make it competitive. Some are saying to go by what weight the teams bring in. Other ones are saying what ranking they have during the event. We're really probably going to model it after the Cabela's points race. We just may tweak it just a little bit. Um, so yeah, we're going to get to that in a second, Tony. We are definitely going to get to that in a second. Um, so the points race, we're going to keep it simple. Um, Something for people to track. Uh, Not all of our events will be points race events, but we do want it to be competitive. So look for that separately. We'll probably have a separate live stream just to go over the points race. Again, just like the rules, we'll have a draft of that posted for you guys to review and suggest. And I guarantee when we do that, not everyone's going to be happy, but we're going to make the final decision. And once we make that final decision, we're not deviating from it. We'll take everyone's input, but we're going to make the decision and we're going to go with it. So, but just like we do with everything else, we keep you guys in mind, and we want it fun and competitive. All right. Um, while we're on that subject about the launches, so one of the things we always get asked about. So when we were talking about launching, you're not going to be able to miss a couple events unless you have a lot of points. I can say that. I mean, it's going to be hard to miss. If 8 of our events are points race events and you miss 2, you'd have to have a pretty good score to, you just have to see. see where you're at. Every team's going to have a different score, right? And that's hopefully. So I don't know about a couple. Um, so about the launching. So when I first started going to do the tournaments, I talked to Lyle about how to do launches. I talked to the insurance company and how they do it. And one of the things that stuck out is believe it was the insurance was saying even if you count off and do 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go out there, the first few boats could be small boats. The 15th boat could be a big one, and now they're just going faster when they pass the other boats. So if you do 5 at a time, if you do 10 at a time, and they did not recommend doing anything larger than 10 at a time. But it also, what their point was, is it comes down to a lot of boater safety. Um, I've seen people do shotgun blast. We will not do a shotgun blast where everyone just gets released. We're not going to do that. So it also comes down to, and we have some teams that just say, we're going to wait till everyone leaves and then we're going to go. So some guys are out there in different sized boats, and in that initial launch, they got to they have some ownership on what their boat's capabilities are and what their being a boat captain's capabilities are. But we got to create a safe event for them. So with all that said, we're looking at a couple of different options for launches. One of them is with this pre-registration, like I was emphasizing with the placeholder, we may have launch windows. And even with the launch window, we're going to state there's no basically drag race launching. If we say your launch windows open at 6:15 to 6:20, we don't want 10 boats out there just flooring it the second their phone turns to 6:15, and then we're right back where we were. Um, we don't want to do count offs necessarily, and then 3 big boats take off and they're racing each other and they pass a little tiny boat doing 50 miles an hour and they swamp them. So there's certain things we gotta figure out. We got to come up with the best way to do it. We are looking at it. I guarantee we're not going to make everybody happy. Somebody will always come up with what their version is the best way to do it. We understand that. But we're going to talk with we're going to look at some other places how they do it. We're going to talk with the insurance company again, and we're going to come up with a good plan. So my point is, we're going to still play the national anthem. We're going to have everyone together, and then the windows, most likely, the launch times will vary depending on how people are registered. Um, what that's going to look like just yet, we're not 100% sure. We have a pretty good idea. So we are addressing it. All right. We are addressing how we're going to do the launches. We just want it to be safe. We want to have an incentive for people to register early. Um, and then we're going. But Justin, I think you missed the earlier discussion about the live well check. So just follow the video afterwards. Um, so keep that in mind, guys. All right. So we got a couple ideas. I think you guys at the end of the day are going to like them. Yeah, right. We know people need travel time or want travel time, and we're going to maximize the polygraphs for that fish time too. So if someone, um, yeah, so Joel, I did the math on that. I was actually looking at 2 minutes, 10 boats at 2 minutes in time. So, you know, Justin, so no making me laugh, guys. Yeah, so we're going to look at it. We want to give teams time to travel. We want to incentivize the guys that pre-register, all of that stuff. What I don't like is I don't like teams saying, "Well, we got there 2 hours early, so I'm going to go scan for 2 hours and then fish." I don't like that. All right, so we got to keep some structure there, keep some reasonable standards, and we'll go from there. So, bottom line is, we're looking at it, guys. We heard you. We've heard the concerns. Um, yeah, I'm with you, Joel. So we are taking a look at it. So there's a few people we'll be talking with, and again, we'll take everyone's input, and then we're going to make a decision, and that's what we'll go with this year. The only caveat is if we do something, if we make a decision and find out it was not the safest one, and there's a safer way of doing it, we will change our rules for safety. Hey, Austin's onto something. Some of these guys did catch some nice fish that's right up from the ramp, so I'm just throwing that out there. All right, so we talked about the points race. More to follow on that. We've had a couple of discussions on that in back today. Um, yeah, I've been to tournaments where that's taken place. I've got there early, and then I'm like, man, where is everybody? Oh, they're already on the water, and I'm like, oh, okay, we still got a couple hours, and they're scanning. They're out there. That to me is part of fishing. So I don't mind travel time. I just don't like there's got to be some structure there. Like I said, we're going to be in Louisville, Kentucky. I said that earlier. We're going to be at the Catfish Conference. We are going to have things to sell. We're going to have the trophies for the Border Wars there, hopefully, uh, and the Tournament of Champions. And we're going to have decals, T-shirts, all that stuff. They got us a corner booth, so that's great. That's great exposure. Greg is Craig. I mean, has worked on a promotional video for us. It looks great. We're going to be playing that on loop there as much as we can. Um, so look for us there if you're there. The camera ninja Christy, she'll be out there with us, and I'm not sure if Josh is going or not, but we'll be there. We'll get there probably the Thursday before. We're allowed to set up that Friday morning. The Catfish Conference kicks off that Friday afternoon around 4 p.m. And then we'll tear down Sunday night and come back to Kansas City. The following week after that, you guys should be heading out to yeah. And to Joel's got a good point. If it's standard for everybody, then everyone's got that to benefit from. And that's true. It's just like if you don't do, if you treat everyone special, no one's special. It's the same kind of logic, right? So if everyone has the same opportunity to do that, they can. But I want to incentivize the guys registering early, and um, and I don't want to swamp any boats. So there's a balance there. There's a gray area, and everyone knows Joel's one of the guys. His input is weighed pretty heavy, so we'll be talking. I know we will be. All right, so back to the Catfish Conference. We're going to be there. Christy will be there. We'll be there. I'm not sure if Josh is going. So the cost to get in, Austin, last year there was a Marine that paid for everyone's ticket. I think it was just a couple bucks to get in. Literally just a couple bucks to get in. And there's all kinds of people there. There's all kinds of vendors. It's a lot bigger this year, it looks like. Uh, so for us as a tournament trail, it's good for us to get that exposure, especially since we're trying to establish a national trail too, which is moving a lot slower than I wish than I wanted it to. But I'll get to that in a minute. So it's good exposure for us. If you haven't gone, um, I would definitely take a look at it. Yeah, they haven't really announced on that. I'm thinking about going this year. I've never been. Yeah, so it's worth it. So we'll let you guys know. So like I said, we'll be there. We're looking forward to it. Yeah, I sure will, Dave. In fact, we're going to get some hotels reserved this week, so let me make a note of that. Let me get a note of that. Okay, good call, Dave. Um, all right. So far, with everything I've covered, what are if you have questions, throw them out there. If you have an idea or something, thoughts, remember, message me on the side if you can later. But I think 160 with three people, three anglers per boat, that helps shares that cost. Our big events, the tournament champions, and the Border Wars is still a $200 entry. Um, so we'll do that. Um, okay, so Christy, you said the hotel's already booked up? Because I looked, I seen a bunch of rooms there. I was going to actually get a hold of you guys, see what you wanted in his room. So the conference dates, Dwayne, let me pull that back up for us here. Um, the conference dates is February 22nd through the 24th. It's at the Expo Center, and I guess they shuttle us. You stay at the one location, they have a shuttle that'll take you there. But it's the 22nd to the 24th. Um, so we'll get that. I'll get that. And Christy, I'll get with you tomorrow. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the rates I seen were pretty decent. I mean, a lot cheaper than what I had. Um, like the last year, I think we had ours were a couple hundred. So, all right, guys. So we talked about a lot of that stuff right now. Next weekend, let me get back over here to my. It's on James Webb. All right, so let me. Nah, that's not what I wanted to do. Um, Let me do this really quick. Next weekend is our Savannah Marine get together, the fish fry there. And if you guys can make it, I'll post something tomorrow. What they need is just like we do. They need to know how much food they get. So I'll post it. I'll share the event again tomorrow for the fish fry, Savannah Marine. Remember, you walk in their door and look around, you get that ticket, and they're going to have a drawing and give away a free entry to one of our tournaments. But they need to know how many people are willing to show up there so they know how much food to have for us. So I'll post that tomorrow. Just say you're going, and then we can get Eric a count so he's make sure he's got enough food for us all. Bring an appetite, all right, guys. Let's do this. You guys ready to look at the schedule for next year? Yep. All right, let's do this. Boom. All right. All right, let me go through this here. All right, guys, get Farm Bureau insurance so we can get cheaper hotel rates. All right, so let's take a look at the schedule as we have it right now. Uh, February 16th is the Icebreaker. Justin Thornton Painting is going to be our headline sponsor. Kick that off. Him and Dwayne hit a home run that last time, and they with their way in. So we'll see if they can repeat it. Hold on here, my phone's blowing up. Yeah. So yeah, Justin Thornton Painting is Icebreaker. We're going to do it at Cobb Point. Again, we're going to use some common sense on this. If there is still ice on there and it's not safe, we're not going to do it. Right? We'll postpone it till after the conference. But we want the icebreaker. So far, we've lucked out and we've been able to get on the water without an issue. So last year, a lot of you guys were on like Ice Watch. You're letting us know what it looked like in Nebraska and St. Joe, and that was pretty cool. So I'm sure you'll do it again this year, keeping us updated. So kudos there. March 16th, I have it in red. Um, and there's a reason why. We have 4 Cobb Point events tentatively scheduled for next year. And I explained earlier on another stream why that is because they are supporting us. We want to support them, but we also have to be realistic. We also have to try to get added money. Um, so we're looking at trying to get added money for these events. If we don't get anything, then there's no point in having 4 events here. We got to go to places that are looking for us to come there and who are giving us money or wanting to give us money. So we have a couple of locations that really wanted us to come back. St. Joe is one of them. They said that they wanted us to be there. They would help us. A couple other locations, one is out by St. Louis we're looking at, and Waverly, is another one. People keep asking me about having something in Waverly. So if if things don't work out the way we had hoped them to with Kansas City, um, we're going to the ones in red we're going to swap out for a couple other locations. But those dates will most likely stay the same. It's the locations that would change. All right, April 27th, we're going to go do the Cheney Lake, and I'm going to take some time off. And Journey Chow and myself are going to go, and we're going to. He's already putting $500 in from R&P Marine Products, and then we're going to go down there and try to raise some more money for you guys. We have to raise money for you guys for that one because we're asking people to go down to a lake, and it's a drive. It's an easy drive, but it's still a drive to go down there. So we want to incentivize you going there. It is going to be a points event. It's northwest of Wichita. All right, and then we go to Lexington for the Macy's Fish and Finds event. It'll be our first night event, and we'll go. Hopefully, that'll be good. The river should be good. May, it's one of those things. I know that may be a tough weekend for some, but we're going to go for it. Waverly, yep, Joe. All right. Now, June 15th, we have it on our tournament schedule. Although it's not a tournament, it's still related to it. It's this Kansas Special Olympics angler and athlete mixer. What's a mixer? Um, it's a meet and greet. So the Kansas Special Olympics asked us to do an event with them, and we said, yeah, it's a no-brainer. We'll help raise some money. All American Catfish will not take any proceeds for this event whatsoever. It'll be split between the anglers and the Special Olympics to raise money for them. It's the first time they've had a event, catfish event, and we're proud to be part of it. So we are looking at trying to have this in Cabela's, the athlete mixer. Up at Cabela's, try and make it a big deal, make the athletes feel very welcomed and invited to be part of this big event. And all right, Dave, and that's where we're trying to have it out. We've already contacted them. We're talking with them now. So hopefully that pans out. If not, we got other locations too. But I'm pretty sure it will work out. And then in June 29th will be the Catfish Tournament itself at Clinton Lake. So hopefully on the 15th, you'll know who your partner is. And then on the 29th, you get to fish with them during the event. All right, July, we don't have anything scheduled in July right now. And so that's okay. That's a tentative one. It's open. September, early September is still open. In August, we don't have anything because there's a couple of big events in August. So let's keep August clear and let everyone enjoy those big events. And then September is the Border Wars in Lexington. Again, that's $6,000 already added into it, and we will be capping that because of parking. I got to talk more with the parks on it, but I believe we're probably going to have to cap it about probably at 60 boats, which is quite a bit more than what we had in St. Joe. So it shouldn't be a problem. But I don't want, it's better safe to cap it than to get caught off guard and 100 boats try to show up and fish and they don't have parking. So we'll take a look at that. We'll get that updated on the event itself. But that's the Border Wars. Cop Point, that October one, again, it's dependent on if we get money at it or not. If not, we'll change that location too. And then the final one's the Tournament of Champions. That's still going to be a Cop Point, $200 entry. Tournament of Champions means you have to place in the money at our events. You have to win money in our event to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. All right, so that brings me to our next point. The right now the payout is like by 10 spots. We pay out 1 spot. We're going to update our payouts where we'll always pay 3 positions, first, second, and third. And we're probably going to adjust it to where it's either 1 through 8 or 1 through 9 positions before we add another position in, just so we can get another place or two on some events. And so look for that. It's not going to be significantly changed because we have pretty good payouts. You know, we may not have the biggest events in the country last year, but for the events we did, we had pretty good payouts, and I think the guys were pretty happy with that. And there's been a couple times where just to make sure we had enough people added in there, we added money back into it just to pay out a third spot. Again, our anglers, we have to take care of our anglers because our anglers are taking care of us. But these are the dates we have right now. Locations, for the most part, are locked in. The ones in red will solidify once we know if we have added money or not. And the blank ones, we're still looking for locations. Okay, so we wanted to get you something. We have to have this solidified by the conference. We want, it should have been done before the Border Wars, but once I went to North Carolina at that event, that kind of threw everything out. So that's what we're looking at right now. What questions do you guys have? Anything? Any questions? All right, no questions. All right, guys. What else is there? Did you guys like the trophy at the Catfish games? You like that style trophy with the placards on it too? Man, you guys, yes. Joe's, yes. There's a delay. Trophy was really nice. We're going to do more of that. Like I said, with Miracle Marine and their boats. So I'll give you a little hint. What it is, they do this for a car show. They take a picture of a car, and then they machine out the silhouette of it. So it's a car. It looks like a car. It looks three-dimensional almost, but it's all cut out, and then it's lifted from the plaque itself. So we're going to try to do something, integrate something like that into the trophies, and I think you guys will like it. Yeah. So if we get the right sponsors, Joel, we want to do that too. But really, for the bigger ones, the Border Wars and the Tournament of Champions, we want those trophies to stand out. We would like to see plaques. Those real big, flashy ones, they're actually cheaper than the cups that we had for the Border Wars. The big cup there, those are the metal ones. They're a lot more expensive. I like those. But if, you guys really like those other ones, so we're going to lean more on those other ones. So this brings us to the next thing. All right, guys. I'm going to go back up to the sponsor page. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay. He's cleared up another role. So here's our sponsors, and we talked about our sponsors earlier. I don't have Warrior Cat Rods up here, but Warrior Cat Rods have been with us from the beginning too. We didn't get all the sponsors to fit in here, right? I was messing with it. I just couldn't get it. We've had several different sponsors. This coming year, we're going to be looking. There's a lake we're looking at. We've been asked a lot to do more lakes. When it comes to as far as locations or bodies of water, we get probably the most we get asked about is having lake events. Um, a lot of lake fishermen asked us to fish theirs, uh, fish the lakes more so they can fish our events. They won't fish the rivers because they have fiberglass boats, but they would like us to have events there. So we're going to look at that. That 160 is going to be broke out to the points race and big fish and everything else. So it doesn't matter if they fish rivers or not. They're paying the same amount as you guys are, and their money will go to that points race too, whether they're want to be in the points race or not, and that's fine. If we're going to draw more boats eventually because we're fishing a couple extra lakes, we're going to do it. It makes the pots bigger for you guys. You guys are very competitive. You don't mind a challenge. Last weekend proved that. You guys step up to the challenge big time. So we're going to do that. So one of the places we're looking at, we may have to have specific sponsors for that specific event. So we're go to the lake, talk to the businesses, talk to private businesses and things. But we really want to increase our sponsors. We want to increase our sponsors to add money. Products are great, but to be honest, products aren't drawing boats. Added money will draw boats. So if we draw boats, our sponsors get more visibility with the anglers. So it's kind of that cycle. So when our sponsors give out gift certificates, it gives those teams flexibility of what they really need, and then they can really pay more attention to that business. If a business has a surplus of something and they need to get rid of, well, that's fine if they want to give it to us, and we'll give it away at an event. So sponsors, some of those things we really got to work on. I think gift certificates allows an angler to pick out the inventory item that they want, they purchase it, pick out the item they want out of the inventory, then purchase it. And if the sponsors have a surplus of something, they just want to give it to us, we can work with that. We'll give it to youth anglers or something like that. We'll do something. Yeah, so the Clinton Lake one with the uh, Special Olympics, we're going to really be looking for sponsors. If you guys, and I'm not trying to necessarily solicit to you guys or make you feel guilty into it, but if you're a private business owner and you need to get visibility for your business, well, let us know. We can help you with that. We do measure when someone approaches about being a sponsor, we go out their page and we look at how many Facebook likes they have, then we promote them. We go back and we look at it and we see if we're helping them or not. And we do ask them, are you seeing a turnaround? Are we promoting you enough? It's a sponsorship is a partnership. We've got to make sure they're getting something out of this and we're getting something out of it. If neither person's getting anything out of it, then there's no point in having it. It's just business. But our sponsors can't give away the store. They've got to make money, and I think you guys support them very well. And I think they've all seen an increase in business of it. What I do take pride in is when people ask me about my tournament series, I'll ask them, so do you know who our sponsors are? And they will. They'll rattle off some sponsors. Yeah, so you know what, Joel? That's a very good point. So here's the deal. I'm glad Joel mentioned it in his last little part of a sentence there. The Clinton Lake one, some of these athletes may not want to be in a boat. So we are, and we haven't done this yet, but one of the things when we were talking with the Special Olympics, we are going to talk to them about having people help out around the docks and fish. They may have their own little category of it. More to come on that, but there's probably some athletes that don't want to be on a boat out there on the lake. They may want to check out the boat all they want in the parking lot and stuff, but when it gets in the water, they may decide being on the dock is better for them, and that's fine. And not every team in this tournament has to have an athlete with them because there's just not that many athletes. So if you're worried about that and you say, hey, I want to fish this event, but I don't want an athlete, no harm, no foul. That's perfect. Yeah, something like that. Throw a hook on a crouton and throw it over by some carp. That's my mind. But you guys get what I mean. So don't feel like the tournament champions. You have to have an athlete in the boat because you don't. You don't have to. So we're The boat ones, that category is a regular catfish tournament. So we'll more to come on that. The point I wanted to emphasize was we did talk to them, and there's some people that may not feel comfortable about being in a boat, and so they'll fish from the docks area. And so we will need assistance for that. We just will. We'll need anglers to help us with that. So again, as we get closer to that one, next couple of months, we want to kind of feel that out a little bit, and get you guys some more updates. But back to what I was saying about sponsors. We do actively look for sponsors. If you are a business or have a private business that needs promotions, come talk to us. We'll try to work something out. If you know of a bigger business that needs promotions, let us know. Make sure it's a fit. Um, we've had some. I tell you, it's kind of funny. Uh, we had someone talk about their oil company, and I literally thought they meant oil company. And and so I was like, yeah, if they had a little, mom and pop oil company, oil repair, whatever it is, we'll check it out. It was a totally different kind of oil. And I said, that is not going to be a good fit for all American catfish tournaments, unfortunately. Different kind of oil. So we got to make sure it makes sense. Hey, Scotty. And we, so when it comes to sponsors, our sponsors, we encourage them to make sure to communicate with us. They're seeing something out of our partnership here. And I think they all are. Getting good promotion, good visibility, and they're seeing a return on their investments. That's what we want. All right. It may be a catfish tournament, but if I have to athlete with me and we see some wipers busting sheds, that's Joel. Heck yeah. So, and then we are going to have more information. We're going to be posting more information on the event site itself. About how if someone wants to participate as an athlete in the Special Olympics, or how they can go about doing that, how they can apply to do that. So look for that. Look for that, guys. All right. Yeah. All right, guys. So what questions do you have? Again, you guys always have good feedback. The last thing, I had to cover tonight. I want to reemphasize next weekend is the Savannah Marine Fish Fry. So tomorrow I will post, I'll reshare the event. Please share it. Anyone on our page is invited. Other series are invited. You know, they had their reveal last weekend, but most of us were in Lexington, so they're doing a special event for us. So that's super cool. So I'll be up there. If you need mugs or shirts or something like that, let us know, and we will bring them up to you. We already had a couple people get them, so I'll have your guys ready for you. Social media. That's one of the last things I wanted to talk about tonight. So social media. So for everyone on here that didn't know, today's Uzi's birthday. So go out on her page there and wish her a happy birthday, please. And yeah, if you want to be a sponsor as a team, that's going to be a little bit different. But I tell you this, I can give you some advice on that. And I can tell you, All American Catfish tournaments, we're going to try to sponsor a team next year to travel the different places around the country, at least a couple places. And so more to come on that. There's financially and logistically a couple things have to come together for that to take place. And if it does come together, we're going to have a tournament team that goes to other events. So back to Uzi. Wish her a happy birthday. Go out to her page. If you don't have her as a friend on Facebook yet, go ahead and add her as a friend. She handles all of the rosters and things like that and the stats. So when you guys have questions on those, it goes to her. If you see AACT post on our page, that's Uzi. So make sure you interact with her on that kind of stuff. So happy birthday, Uzi. She's like 62 or something like that, I think. Something like that. All right, back to social media. All right, so here's the take. You guys know how I feel about social media. It's a tool, um, and it's one of those double-edged swords. You know, it can help and hinder a business, right? So it can help a business grow, and it can hinder a business growth. And in the tournament industry, I've seen it happen both ways. And for sponsors, I've seen it happen. We've dropped sponsors because of their activities on social media. And we do it again, you know, just as we would expect a sponsor to drop us if we were going crazy on social media. So I want to say this because you guys always do a good job on our page, and it does not go unnoticed. Not only just from us, but from businesses and potential sponsors, and from the cities and things. They love how you guys interact. They love how you share things. It is a community page. Um, you guys keep it professional. You guys have debates on there, and you don't put up with people making it a personal debate. So it's appreciated. It does, like I said, it does not go unnoticed. It's what's going to help grow this sport. And I do believe this sport. So a lot of people compare this sport where it's at now, the catfish community, is where the bass community was in the late 70s, early 80s. But there's a big difference there. And some of you have heard this before from me. There's a big difference. The late 70s and early 80s, we didn't have social media. So social media now, that doesn't mean that back then the bass tournaments didn't have people that were super negative and just, you know, a pain in everyone's side. They had those guys. Those guys just didn't have a national forum to drag businesses into the dirt. And and good people into the dirt just because they're, you know, they're not happy with something, they feel wronged or disrespected, so they're going to drag everyone in the mud. That's ridiculous. So they didn't have that back then, you know, but we have that today, and we see that play out every single day. And you see, I don't get involved with it most of the time. I don't even pay attention to what's going on. Someone has to point it out to me. But it doesn't happen on our page. We have zero tolerance for it. We appreciate how you guys have a zero tolerance for it. um, we see how you guys do when you do interact on some of those posts. You are very positive and supportive, very matter of fact, and that's great. So what I'm saying is, I really do appreciate being around professionals, and you guys conduct yourself very professionally. And I'm not trying to catch Joel off guard here. So one of the things that keyed me in on Joel years ago was people were asking a lot of questions around fish and stuff, and he was giving advice. He would tell them how he did it, and he was sharing advice. And everything. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Bait, how to cut it, where to fish, what to look for, how to set up their motor, how to adjust things, move their consoles, realign their floors. He was just doing it. There was none of these big giant arguments about any of it. So that kind of that's a good standard. And I'm just using him as one example. And other people do the same thing. You know, they're very positive, very supportive of the community. It's guys like that that's going to grow this community as a whole nationally, not the other guys. And when guys take it upon themselves because they feel wronged by someone else, that they start calling sponsors, that sets the whole industry back. That's true, Joel. You're welcome, though. It sets the whole industry back. When someone gets a wild hair and they feel wronged, and because they feel wronged, they're going to call a Tournament Trails sponsors and complain and try to get them to drop that series. Those sponsors don't want to hear that. They don't want to deal with that. And it makes them hesitant on supporting anybody in the industry the next time. So it hurts everybody, whether it's a boat sponsor, rod sponsor, hat sponsor, shirt sponsor, added money sponsor, has nothing to do with catfishing. They just want to promote their business. If they feel like they're going to get called by somebody random throughout the day and their staff's going to have to put up with someone irate that they never even met, didn't have anything to do with that situation, they're going to be hesitant on supporting anybody in catfishing again. What I, so that's what we have to be careful for. So my advice is, when we see those things, I unfollow the person. If it's someone on my friends list, I unfriend them, unfollow them, whatever. Don't even give them a forum anymore. They are done. And if everybody did that in the catfish community, these guys wouldn't have a forum. They just wouldn't. They wouldn't have anyone to follow. They wouldn't have anyone to gripe about or gripe to. if they weren't allowed at events. And people, the guys causing trouble, first thing they'll do is like, oh, because I had a disagreement, I'm not allowed to fish these events. No, you drag someone through a mud in their business through the mud, you're not allowed to be, part of that business anymore. It's not a personal thing. But if you make personal comments about somebody, about their business, uh, they shouldn't be allowed to fish that tournament. No one needs that negativity. If you have a difference with somebody, they're back in the day, you go and see that person and you work out your differences. You don't air it out on the national stage and social media. So long-winded here, but I appreciate what you guys are doing. Um, my advice is when we see that stuff, don't follow it, don't like it. You know, marginalize people like that. Just push them aside and don't give them a forum. That's what's going to grow this sport. Promote our sponsors that promote you and keep things positive, and our sport's going to grow. Um, so that's what we got to get at. All right. Any questions? Yeah, John. He still gives advice. He does. Trust me. I look at his stuff. Thanks, Lyle. All right. Questions, guys. Questions. All right. Guys, I appreciate your support. I spoke a lot longer than I wanted to tonight. My voice is killing me. My throat is. Um, you see our schedule. I'm going to post our schedule up one more time. And you guys take a look at that, see what you think, see if those dates. Again, Uzi tracks all the events. I believe our June 29th event, the Special Olympics, I think that conflicts with one that Alex has, his invitational one. Um, so we'll get with him on that. Uh, but the reason that here's the thing, and I think some of you already knew this already. The reason we had to pick that weekend is the Special Olympics of Kansas their athletes have a narrow window of when they're not doing their normal events and then before they start their normal events. So in that window, that gray area, this is a brand new event that they're going to have a chance to be part of, and this was the only time frame we had. So we thought, hey, this is pretty new to them all. Let's do this angler and athlete mixer. We'll do it at a real nice place, kind of make it a big deal for them, get the pictures with these guys. And I do consider you all professional anglers. Everyone's got a different definition of professionalism, but we you guys are professional, and that's important. You guys are great role models, and I think these anglers partnered with you at Cabela's, getting the pictures taken and stuff. They're going to feel very comfortable about getting out on the water with you. All right. So yeah, so Joel, we got a couple blanks here, July and September. Um, I haven't talked to be honest with you, I haven't talked to Waverly. Um, I've just been running out of daylight. So we're going to try to get a hold of someone in Waverly, find out what they can do. Same thing with St. Joe. Same thing with a couple other lakes. We got to weigh it. I really need to try to get further out east, closer to St. Louis too. So we got some things we got to work at. And this is what the events we have right now. We are definitely trying not to step on other trails. Um, we can play nice as long as everyone else is playing nice. And so far, everyone's pretty much playing nice. So we'll do it. Lake of the Ozarks. Um, Alex and I have talked about that. Uh, so yeah, I hear you, Lyle. Yeah, out east, spring day event. So we're going to look at that. It's I dream big, and so some of these parking spots only hold 50 boats, and I really want to get bigger than 50 boats. I want big events, manageable events, because if I get, we don't have a big staff, and we got to make a good event for you guys, but we need to add money. We need to have good turnouts. We have to have good food. We're still gonna have food this year for you guys. We're still gonna have drinks for you guys. We're still gonna have that stuff for you. Um, yeah. So, and here's something. Let me say this: Waverly. One thing I've thought about Waverly. Waverly's got 2 ramps. There's a phone app that we used in Texas that all the emergency services used down there, and it's Zello. And I talked to Jody about this too. If I have someone, if like say Josh is over at ramp number 2 in Waverly, and I'm at ramp number 1 in Waverly, he can control the launch simultaneously with me because it's like a walkie-talkie, and we have walkie-talkies that'll go 5 miles. But I'm just saying we could do this type of thing. Logistically, we could do this controlled launch from 2 different ramps, um, and coordinate that type of thing. And then I'm also a firm believer, certified scales are certified scales. If I have 2 certified scales there, they both weigh the same weight. That's what makes them certified. So, not that we're going to have 2 scales, but you get what I'm saying is if we ever had a super huge event, I don't know why we don't have multiple scales. 50 pounds to 50 pounds, no matter what scale you're on, right? Um, so we're looking at growing to be a big event series eventually, and we're constantly looking at factoring in the logistics to do that efficiently and make sure the anglers are safe, they have a good time, and we all walk away with some good positive memories. It's very important to us to do that. We've got to have fun doing it, and you guys have to have fun doing it. If nobody's having fun, why do it, right? It's just not. It's not worth it. It's all about having fun, for me, having a good time, seeing good people. All right, guys. Couple more. Any questions? Anything? If you have something you would like to see improved on next year, no guarantees that we can improve on it, but don't hesitate to float it our way. If it makes sense and we can do it, we'll do it. If it doesn't, if it's not something we can do, don't feel bad if we don't. It's not that we won't consider it. We just may not be able to do it. So, but float it our way. Well, Lyle knows this. Lyle gave me all kinds of advice, and when I was first starting this thing up, talked to him for quite a bit. He went through a lot of different things, went through our rules, and he advised some stuff, and I didn't follow it. And then I quickly realized I probably should have followed it. So, we live with our decisions, right? So I listen to guys that have experience, um, and a lot of you guys have experience. A lot of you guys have a lot of good reputations, and so it weighs heavy. Your comments weigh heavy on us. We factor them in. We may not always go with them, but they do get considered. They really do. Have fun, biscuits and gravy. Heck yeah! And he's hooking us up for Lexington. More on that. More on that. I may have to sample some of that stuff, but thanks, Joe. All right, everybody, have a good night. I'm going to go take some medicine, then I'm going to hit the rack. All right? Have a good one, people. Thanks for joining tonight.